Second, let's try. There we go. All right. Welcome to Kind Mind. As I said, I'm Kelly Mabel, and I'm really excited to have the beautiful, soft spoken, amazing, gentle energy of Marina Galan in the room today. I first had an opportunity, the very first ever opportunity to experience Marina when I was volunteering at the conference this year. Unbeknownst to me, this new lovely soul would come into my life and strike me with something that was so special. Marina and Judith Sedgman were speaking at the closing of the conference. And if you've ever been a volunteer or participated in those conferences, they do run for us people in Canada at 1 a.m. in the morning. So we are getting up at 1 a.m. and we're having a full experience of the principles hour by hour. And as a volunteer and tech for the rooms, that job is a little bit on top of everything else. So even though we're deeply listening and we're invested, sometimes I come to the very last room and I'm just shattered, and I'm at a place where it's like, okay, one more conversation, I can do it. And at this point, it was such a blessing because I wasn't having to work the room. So that meant I was able to fall into this deep and amazing experience with Marina. And as I said, she had me from hello. I was moved deeply by the conversation. I was in a place where I fell away. I fell away from any thinking I had about being tired, and I became deeply connected to the message that she was sharing at that time and continues to share with this community as a labor of love from her lovely home. And am I going to get this right? Queretaro? Do I have that? Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Almost, because the U is silent, so it's Querétaro.
Queretaro. There we go. Queretaro, Mexico. And she's coming to us this morning to yet again share the wisdom and hope and understanding that the three principles offers all of us here in this global community. And so just a short, I'll just give a little preempt. A lot of people say no bio, but I feel I've gotten to know Marina and some of the conversations that she's had in other courses that we're in, because she's on the board with 3PGC and she supports these types of conversations. And so I've been in class and she's been supporting us to get to the different rooms that we need. So she is a coach and a facilitator and a consultant and an amazing conference speaker, as I said. Also a mother of three boys. And as I said, Querétaro, Mexico, all the way from Mexico. And she opened my heart. She opened my heart to something I hadn't seen before about about having me, or the personal understanding of who I am, fall away so that we can get into a deeper feeling of what this understanding is offering. So when I was with her in that experience, all my thoughts, everything that I had been feeling in the moment was just able to fall away. And I was just with her in the most beautiful feeling that I am sure she is going to emanate today. So without further ado, my dear new friend, it's lovely to have you.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I feel flushed by so much kindness and so much beauty that you are saying. Oh, wow. It's interesting to realize that we never really know if what we are sharing will reach anyone out there or how. And we do it out of such a sense of service and with such faith in the whole process, in the whole design, that if it has to go out there and touch someone, it will. And that's pretty much all we have to go with, right?
And that's a big, it's a big have. That's a big have. Yeah.
That's huge. But in that same sense, the understanding it impacts everything in our lives. It allows us to just become present and follow that natural movement that dictates what is next, what we need to do, what needs to be said. And we just trust that. We can trust that. There's a beautiful quote by Anthony de Mello that I quote quite often because it has impacted my life in so many deep and beautiful ways. And it says, enlightenment is absolute collaboration with the inevitable. And when I first heard that, the first question that popped into my head was, well, what is inevitable? And I lived for that question for quite a few weeks, observing and allowing life to answer the question. And suddenly I realized that what is inevitable is whatever is being right now, both outside and inside of us. Whatever is showing up is inevitable. Whatever we are experiencing is inevitable. Whatever thought is popping up is inevitable. And then, of course, came the question, well, what is collaboration? What is collaboration with it? And, oh God, those weeks were a turmoil when that was the question. And it really became about exploring all the possibilities around collaboration. But what really struck me in the end was that there is a sense of allowing things to be just as they are, just when they are being, in an absolute act of love towards precisely what is showing up, precisely what is being, just by allowing it, just the way we are being allowed in life, the way we are being allowed in the universe. But as the days went by, I started seeing that if I was present enough, if I was quiet enough, if I was observing and listening deeply, then at some point, something would happen inside me that would point to the next step, that would point to what wanted to come through, that was completely impersonal, that had nothing to do with me, and that allowed me not to be attached to the result. And so because that was being, that inspiration, if you want to call it that natural movement pushing you forward, well, why not collaborate with that and allow that to come into the world as well? And if it is coming from that place of love and allowance and neutrality and understanding, there is nothing to fear in it. There is nothing to worry about around it. And so you can trust that, just like you do in the conference. You see, so you speak and you trust that it will go, that it will ripple the way it needs to ripple, that it will reach whoever it needs to reach. And in the same way, when there is this movement forward, this surge of energy inspiring you to do something, your mind might make up what it is about and where it is supposed to go, or to whom or how, but it will often surprise you by going in a different direction and in a completely unexpected way, and touching unexpected people literally in ways we could not have imagined. Like the possibilities we can see are so tiny compared to the possibilities that life can offer. There's a saying here in Mexico that goes, opportunity is always painted bald, without hair. And what it tries to point to is, sometimes opportunity hides behind things that don't look like opportunities, right? That might look kind of not so attractive. But what I see in that is that what we judge, or what we judge as an opportunity, what we consider to be an opportunity, is so limited, can be so limited compared to what actual opportunity is. We really have no idea. But we can trust the design, and we can trust the process. And it's interesting to say it that way, because when you say I can trust something, it would seem like it's outside of you, right? Like I can trust that. But because in this case, we are part of the design, we are part of the process, well, we can trust ourselves in that design, and that design in us. And we can trust ourselves in the process, and the process in us. And there's that little word, trust, which seems to be full of preference and full of future. Where lies trust? Does it belong to the one who gives it, or does it belong to the one who earns it? It's a tricky thing, huh? I can see Soren laughing and Xander laughing, yes. It's a tricky thing, like we don't really know who it belongs to. Is it something you give, or is it something you earn? And if you earn it, then it's not being given to you? And if you're given, then what's the role of the other person in the whole process? Are you the truster? Are you the trustee? What is that about? Is it up to us to trust? Or is it up to us to make the other trust us? But you see, all those questions are valid if there is separation. If there is no separation, and we are talking about the whole process of life, the whole design of life that we are part of, then trust becomes a much wider possibility. Because then it means that you can really completely take your hands off the wheel and surrender to it. You can allow life to take advantage of you. You can allow life to do you. You can offer yourself, make an offering of yourself to the process, and just flow with it. And I don't know about you guys, but it blows my mind to see that in that there is absolute freedom. Because it would seem contrary to freedom, surrendering. But it's actually the opposite. When we surrender, we discover ourselves as completely free, inevitably free. All this from an introduction, Kaylee. That's a lot.
This is what we call natural flow, folks. And you ask why she had me from hello. You know, we think of trust as a place of knowing or understanding or a feeling, and yet the concept can be made up in our head. You know, we can make up what it looks like in our head, but when you fall into that beautiful word around surrender, it ends what is that inevitable, call it like an infinity loop where we go back and forth and back and forth, and we fall out. Like you said, the separation, we just fall out.
You know, it's interesting to see all that surrendering can bring. Because it brings not only freedom, but it also brings lightness, and it also brings joy, and it brings fun. Because then you don't have to take things so seriously. I was thinking yesterday. I took a long walk with my dogs yesterday morning, and I found a field, and I was lying down in the field, my eyes closed, listening to the cicadas, and it seemed to me like they were laughing at some point, and I wondered if they were laughing at me, right? And then I asked myself, well, when was the last time I laughed about me, about myself? And so I started laughing, right? And I thanked the cicadas because it was like, oh, thank you for this, thank you for inviting me to laughter. And then I started thinking about the image of the buffoon, and how for so many years, the most important persons, the kings, would have a buffoon next to them. How amazing is that, right? To burst the balloon every once in a while, to remind them that they were human and they were not that divine in the end. They were not that important. To change the perspective, to remind us of the fact that everything is temporary. And I loved that. And I kind of wished yesterday morning I could grow a buffoon, like the way you grow a tumor. I wish I could grow a buffoon somewhere around me so that it could just come with me anywhere and remind me to just, you're not that important every once in a while, and burst the balloon of the ego. But it really made me realize how we have lost the buffoon nowadays, socially, I mean. I don't know any president that has one, right? But it would be such a cool thing to have. Again. And I guess one of the voices in our heads is a buffoon, always, right? I want to pay more attention to that voice. Because that voice, it might be acid sometimes, but oh my God, is there kindness in that? Is there kindness in bursting the bubble? And I think that comes a lot with surrendering, you see, as well. when you can surrender to the design, when you can surrender to being guided in life. Because that's the whole thing about the principles, right? Like that's one of the main things we discover suddenly via the principles, that we are being guided. And we didn't know that before. And the whole guidance system is called the feeling, right? So you follow the feeling, and the feeling will tell you whether you're thinking too much of yourself, or taking it too seriously, or too personally, or too dramatically, or whatever. Or if you are actually aligned with the flow and ease of life. You know, in a way, it's like being a branch in a river, isn't it? Like you're just floating there. But if you're aligned with the flow of the river, you're just flowing. Whereas if you are perpendicular to the flow of the river, there's resistance, there's noise, there's friction. I was thinking being slapped, but there's friction, right? And so in a way, when we use our thinking in a way that is not aligned with flow, that is not aligned with kindness, that is not allowed with possibility, we experience suffering, right? And so the feeling is guiding us to know how aligned we are, or how unusefully we are using our mind. We are using the gift of thought. And so if we are being guided, then one of the interesting questions becomes, well, what are we being guided towards? Like, what is wisdom up to? Where does it want to take us? Is there a destination? Or is it really just a way of life? The invitation to experience life more kindly, more gracefully, more lovingly, more easily. But you see, once you see for real that you are being guided, you can never unsee it. And if you recognize the wisdom behind the guidance, you know you can surrender to that. And again, we are fundamentally free, unavoidably free. We are so free that we are free to suffer the way we want to, the way we choose to. And the whole universe respects us in it, you know? It will not interfere with our decision to suffer. But it will invite us out of it. Through suffering. So you see, collaborating with the inevitable is allowing that guided life, is responding to the guidance, is surrendering to the design. To have an amazing experience of life. And I don't want to say a better experience, because it's not necessarily better, and it's not necessarily happier. It's just a richer experience because it's full of everything. It's full of, okay, here it goes. A lot of people, when we get to the principles, we are searching, right? And what we are searching for is a better experience of life, right? Like that's true for almost everyone out there. And what we discover through understanding the principles is that what we can alter is the relationship we have to experience. not experience. We do not control thought. We do not control experience. But we can alter how we relate to thought and how we relate to experience. And it's interesting then to see that altering our relationship to experience transforms experience, right? Because of the very plain and simple fact that, and this can be found in any tradition, seeking a positive experience is a bad experience, and accepting bad experience is a good experience. So it's in the relationship to experience that we can find grace. It's in the relationship to experience that we can find ease. And so whereas the principles, understanding the principles cannot give us a better experience of life, it can give us an incredibly, incredibly beautiful relationship to our experience of life. And therein, a beautiful relationship with life. But we are still free to suffer. And to me, that is equivalent to being loved and being trusted by the system. Do you see? As well, we are so loved, we are so trusted that we can choose how we experience anything, how we relate to any experience. So there is freedom in love, and there is love in freedom. They are synonyms. You know that famous Jack Pransky quote that says, "All we are is love, peace, wisdom, and the ability to believe that we are not"? That kind of looks like the bad guy, right? The ability to believe that we are not. But in reality, that guy is freedom. You are free to believe that you are not. And so in a way, that fourth element rounds up the love in the system, rounds up the trust in the system. And we will all choose to suffer every once in a while. Because that's what we do, right? But we don't need to take it seriously. Hopefully we will learn to respond sooner to the invitation. So in a very strict way, the three principles understanding makes you incredibly intolerant to suffering. Because you respond to it faster. You align yourself faster. You don't need to reach the extreme of suffering before surrendering again. Because you learn that when you surrender, the system takes you back to well-being. So that's what wisdom is up to. That's what life is up to. That is the inevitable. And we can collaborate with it. Who knew, right? Who knew that we could collaborate with well-being? Not only ours, but the world's, the universe's well-being. Because you cannot affect one cell without affecting the whole system, right? So whatever we do in ourselves reverberates through the system. It impacts the whole universe. The way you relate to your thinking and your experience impacts the whole universe. Damn, right? Kind of blows your mind. In the last couple of months, I discovered, and I mean that, I discovered how incredibly harshly I judge myself. I am a cruel person. You guys have no idea. And I really started noticing how often I do it. And I discovered it's more of a habit than anything. You know, it's just habitual thinking, judging myself horribly. And so I started paying attention to it, not the content of the judgment, but the fact of the judgment. And I started noticing how I was reacting to it habitually, you know, fearing it, running from it, hiding from it, making myself small, unknowingly validating it. And then I wonder, wow, how can this be impacting the universe? And it was not a happy idea. And I guess the buffoon helped, because I kind of started not taking it seriously anymore. And I started being able to say, oh, there you are again, you habitual thinking. Yes, I will allow you, but I will not validate you. You can pass through. I will allow you, I will love you, but I will not validate you. I will not give you the gift of attention and energy and response. I will just let you go. And I have begun to wonder whether my kids judge themselves that way. And I have begun to wonder whether my friends judge themselves those ways. And I have begun to experience enormous amounts of compassion for them. And I want nothing but to extend the invitation for them to learn to be kinder to themselves. For me to learn to be kinder to myself. And here's the thing, guys. I don't know how to do it. I have no idea of how to do it. Like, how does one even begin to be kinder to oneself? What does that even mean? But because we are part of the system, because we are part of life, because we are part of the design, we cannot ask a question and not have it answered. And so yesterday, after thanking the cicadas for laughing at me and thinking about the buffoon and trying to grow one and all those things, I just asked life to teach me, to show me how to be kinder to myself, how to be more compassionate. And I know the answer will come. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I can trust the system. I can take my hands off the wheel. You see? Again, if we are being guided, does that not mean that we are being held? Does that not mean that we are being supported? 24/7? And how amazing is that? To know that you have the universe with you, right? Like I remember when I was little, my grandmother used to say, God and I are a majority. Well, yes, the universe and I are a majority that will kill anything. There is no way around it. What a great gig, isn't it? What a great gift. What a joy to experience this. What a gift. The Buddha was asked once, how often is the possibility of incarnating as a human being arrive? And he said, well, imagine a turtle at the bottom of the ocean, and then that turtle awakens and it floats up. And then at some point, the top of the head of the turtle breaks the water, and then it dives back down again. The possibilities of the head of the turtle breaking the water in the same spot is how rare it is to be in human form. How cool is it that you get to experience it, right? Not anyone else, but you. You get to have the experience of floating down a river and choosing to suffer or not to suffer, and choosing interference or not interference, or choosing collaboration or not collaboration, and understanding that you are part of it all, but you are a conscious part of it all. You are such a miracle. You just didn't know it. You forget it once in a while. It's not what you experience, it's that you experience. It's not what you think, but it's that you think. It's not what you are conscious of, it is that you are conscious. And all that is not up to you. You see, the miracle is not up to you. Thank God, right? But it is through you that it can be. Only through you. Is this making any sense? Yeah? Okay, cool. Good.
So many thoughts and concepts in one very small 40 minutes of unfoldment. And it all makes sense to me.
Well, Kelly and I were talking before you guys came into the room about how often people come to the principles, and for the first few months it's just I'm not getting anything. I'm not understanding a single thing they're saying. Right, Kelly?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it's making sense at least.
My girlfriend's in the room, and when we were on holiday, we had a mantra, what the hell? What the? We kept saying, what the hell? And it was a joke because, it's that concept of really understanding and then not having to at all because we're being guided, as you said, moment to moment.
I love that. Understanding but not having to at all. Because again, you can let it take care of
Hands up, baby, hands up. Give me your heart, right?
it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, the whole allowing piece, the way I am allowing my judgment to come through and just pass, has made me wonder, what if we would allow everyone to do anything, even mistakes? I was listening to Mavis Karn the other day. Do you guys know Mavis Karn?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was listening to Mavis Karn, and she said something that really struck me. She said, well, if a child lived in a family in which falling was viewed as wrong and it was punished and it was judged, the child would never learn to walk. And it really made me wonder, that self-judgment, that judgment on others. What are we not allowing them to learn by judging them, by telling them off? Or ourselves? What are we keeping ourselves from? There is so much richness and so much opportunity in mistakes. One of my favorite quotes is by Samuel Beckett, and it says, "Good, so you have failed. Great, now fail again, fail better." I love the idea of failing better. What are you guys hearing? I'd love to hear from people if anyone has anything to share or ask or comment.
Feel
Would that
free
be
to,
okay, Kelly?
yeah, please, everybody. It's a big room, so feel free to put up your digital hand so I can see you. There we go, Xenia. I saw a comment, Xenia. Go ahead. Xenia.
Yeah, yes. I I just want to say that I'm blown away from your words. It touched my heart, really, by judging myself. Or I have tried to not do it again and again, but I do it. You said so many words, so I have grip. It's so good. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Xenia. But you see, that's the thing. Like, we don't know how to not do it. Just like we don't know how to be kind to ourselves, we don't know how to stop judging ourselves. There is so much beauty in recognizing oneself as part of the system and part of the design, and knowing that the design will take care of that. It will bring you out of judgment and into kindness, into compassion, if you let it. There is something really deep about understanding that we can think ourselves out of peace, but we cannot think ourselves back. We have to surrender. And then the system will bring us back. But we want to do it, but we can't. You see? Thank you, Xenia. Thank you so much for sharing yourself.
Thank you, Xenia.
Hugs for you.
Thank you, Xenia. Tom, go ahead, please. Lovely to see you again.
Yeah, you too. Hi, Marina.
Hi, Tom. Good to see you.
Great to see you. I love the when you talk about wisdom, and I wanted to share something that I saw around wisdom that was often confusing in my life because I always thought like wisdom knows everything. It knows the answers, it knows what to do, it can tell me what to do, and it will work out. And then I realized that this is kind of strange that wisdom doesn't know, but wisdom wants to know, and it needs us to find out. Do you know the image like that's pretty common in spiritual circles with someone standing on a cliff and the thing is jump and then that will appear or something like that, or jump and you'll grow wings. But wisdom's like, dude, I don't know what's going to happen, just jump and find out, and like maybe you'll crash and burn and then we'll find out what that's like. So that,
Absolutely.
like, wisdom wants to know and it needs us to. Wisdom's like, go find out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How cool is that? Right? But go find out, but I got your back.
Yeah.
Like you're being held, you're being sustained here. Go
Yeah.
find out.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting, Tom? When you start to see that wisdom doesn't know and it needs you to find out for it. But then as soon as you find out for it and you pass on the information, then it knows and then it informs you what's next.
Yeah.
You see, and that's what I was talking about in the beginning. The whole natural movement that pulls you forward and inspiration.
Yeah.
So you are like the messenger between wisdom and life and the world. And it's such a cool thing to see that, oh, my job is to be completely present. Because through me, wisdom will be informed, and then it will inform me on what's next and what's to be done.
Yeah.
The piece about presence in there, making yourself present so that life can inform wisdom through you. And then wisdom can use you for life.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Tom. You cannot be in presence if you are not in agreement with reality. If you have judgment about reality, you are not in presence. If you are allowing reality, you are in presence. When we are not in agreement with reality, when we are in judgment of reality, everything wisdom can inform us on is our disagreement. Because it cannot get information from life. It is only getting information about your disagreement. And so it needs to solve the disagreement first. And it does that by letting you know of the disagreement and inviting you into agreement and presence.
Yeah.
It does that through suffering, through pain, so that you will see, oh, I am looking at this very personally, very narrowly, very whatever. There is another possibility. I need to take a step back and enter agreement with reality so I can be in presence and wisdom can be informed through me.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like fun.
Well,
Sometimes.
yes. Sometimes, because then at times we really don't want to agree with reality.
Right.
We really don't want to agree with circumstance.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you were talking about trust, that's how I feel about trust, to grow in trusting that it's safe to allow. That's one way to see the life journey.
And we go back to the inevitable. You see, if it is happening, it's because it's inevitable. It's needed. So let's collaborate with that.
Yeah. I love it.
I love it. I love you.
Thank you.
This is so cool. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Xander, go ahead. Welcome again. Lovely to see you.
Hi, Xander.
Hi,
Hi.
thank you for allowing me to speak. There was a couple of people who raised a hand before me, but thanks anyway. I'm not going to pass it up because a couple of weeks ago I was listening to some friends having a conversation, and one of them was talking about learning to let go. And when we were finished, one of them walked away, another passed me. And I said to him something along the lines of, it depends on what it is you think that you have that you're letting go. What is it that you think you have control of? It's an illusion. Any resistance to what is suffering. There's no other way to say it. It's just
But that's perfect, Xander. Because you see, You just made it absolutely clear. You simplified it completely. Any resistance to what is attachment to what is not. Is holding on to what is not.
It's getting stuck on the riverbank, isn't it?
Yeah, and because it is not, you are holding on to something that does not exist. Yeah, what's the point in that, right? So you think you're holding on to something, but there is nothing to hold on to because what you're holding on to is not.
It's like sand. It's going to slip through your hands.
I know, yes. And we go back to the buffoon, Xander. How on earth are you going to take seriously your acts of holding on to things that do not exist?
There's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza.
God, I love that song. Thank you for bringing it. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you, Xander.
Now just go ahead, please. Welcome. Good to see you in the room. Where did she go?
Hi, Narjas.
Now just, yeah, do you want to unmute yourself? Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I thought I was talking out loud. Yeah, I'm here thanks to my good friend Georgia Bazin, who told me about this. And
Georgia's here. Hi, Georgia, wherever you are.
I've come to this through strange means. I've not really come across the principles, and I'm just raising my hand to say, where can I read more about the principles? I mean, a lot of this is overlapping with things I do, like meditation and letting go. It's interesting that that's an illusion. That seems to be one of my big asks, but I do get that it is an illusion, and thinking itself is one, but you seem to also give thinking a lot of credence because it's going on. Obviously, we're doing it as conscious beings. But yeah, it's all really interesting. I loved what you said. I loved your vibe, and I want to know more.
Great, Narjas. Welcome to the tribe. We all want to know more or less, depends on how you look at
it. Yeah, exactly. Simplification would be lovely.
Yeah. So you can find tons of information online, but I would suggest you start with 3pgc.org, which is the international organization that their aim, or our aim, is to get the principles out there in a depth of understanding. Not only get them out there, but get them with a good depth of understanding, you see? So I would start with 3pgc.org, and then from there, you will find endless sites. There are tons of books now. There were not so many before. Mark can tell you about that, right, Mark?
I just need a quick fix. Summary. These are the principles. Something like two legs are good, or whatever, for a bad. That's all I need.
You will find that in 3pgc.org. Don't worry about it. It might not be quick, and it might not be a fix.
I like cheating.
But I promise you, it will be transformative. That I
Thank
can
you so much.
promise you.
Cheers.
Wonderful. Good to have you here, Narjas. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Narjas. I will say there's a lot of references available, books and reading material for those who are just beginning their experience with experiencing the way wisdom is always with us. And you'll certainly find a list on my page at kindmindacademy.ca. And Marina also has things to offer on her page. Is it .org, Marina? MarinaGalan.org, is it?
.com.
.com, marinagalan.com, which I'll type.
I have a difficulty thinking of myself as an organization.
Yeah, me too.
For now. I don't know in the future, but for now,
I think of the org as organic. Let's just call it organic, if I had to use that term.
That's good. Thank you for that. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly and Marina.
Hello, Mark, William.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi there. Beautiful to see you guys.
It's great to see you,
I
Mark.
was just thinking of Najas there, wanting to know where to start. And where it starts is with Sydney Banks, the man who uncovered this about in 1973. And I think it's wisest to go directly back to hearing him speak. And there's a site called sidbanks.com. And on there are DVDs and a variety of resources that he wrote personally and said personally. And that's the real deepest source we have, and we're very lucky to have it. So, and from there's been a lot of writing done, some of it very good, and some, not as deep, but everyone's doing their best. So there you go.
That is a great direction to point people in. Thank you, Mark. That is really great. There's some original pieces. Sid wasn't very much of a, he didn't want people to follow him. So for a very long time, there were no recordings, nothing of Sid that was available until the community that was considered his circle really, really felt that there was such a deep and profound message that it needed to be grabbed onto at the time. And so, yeah, we're very blessed to have what we have, and it is not extensive, but it is definitely profound. Thank you for that, Mark.
He's the man. He's the source.
Yeah. The thing that keeps coming up for me, Marina, the one thing is that when Sid said, if only the world, the people of the world, would not fear their experiences, that they would be open to the wisdom and possibility of the way they could live their life fully and completely. And that just seems to be what keeps circling me in this room today, where when we let go of the fear of our thinking and all the things that we create in our mind, that there's an opportunity to say yes to where the unknown may be pointing us.
Yeah. Well, we are trying to find the dreamer. And to find the dreamer, you don't need a specific kind of dream. You just need a dream.
Yeah.
It can be a nightmare, or it can be a blissful dream. It doesn't really matter. The content of the dream doesn't matter. So a lot of people get confused because in life we are looking to change the nightmare into a blissful dream, when in reality we are looking for the dreamer. So because of the nature of the dream will always be changing. Thoughts will always be changing, therefore experience will always be changing. It doesn't matter. It is not about the content of experience or the content of consciousness or the content of the dream. We need something to wake up from as well.
Yeah.
Not only something to wake up to. When Sid talks about not fearing experience, you see how precise that is? He's not talking about bettering experience or transforming experience or changing experience in any way, shape, or form. He's talking about not fearing experience. Because there is no need to fear experience.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it for a second, guys. The only thing we fear is feeling. There is no fear of circumstance. There is only fear of how that circumstance will make me feel. Isn't Isn't it amazing that we are afraid of feeling? And everything we do to not feel something in particular, and everything we do to not feel something in particular gets us in so much trouble. Whereas when you're okay having any experience, you are free. Then you are truly free. Because then you can experience anything. No judgment. Just learning. Just experience. Just richness. Just presence. Just life. Just allowance. Just love. That is the freedom we are looking for. The freedom to experience anything. And it's ours because it's part of the design. We are free to experience anything, even suffering. So you see, what you're looking for is what you already are. And here we go, back to a starting point. We only get confused because we think it's about the content. And it's not. It can't be. It can't be because the content is non-controllable. I once, not long ago, this was only a couple of months ago, once had a real, for sure, badass lucid dream. Like I knew I was dreaming. And I said, oh my God, this is it. Let's control the dream. Impossible. I knew I was dreaming and I could not control it. And it was infuriating and frustrating. And then I said, oh, right, so I get to be conscious of it, but I don't get to control it. Same. So being conscious of the dream allows me to experience the dream in freedom. Completely, fully, vividly. Let's feel sadness. Let's feel loneliness. Oh my God, loneliness is the most beautiful, tender, delicate thing one can feel if we allow ourselves that gift. It's like water droplets trickling down your back. So delicate. Such a beautiful thing to experience. Rage. I remember the first time I experienced rage and enjoyed it. I was really angry at my kids and they were looking at me with terrified eyes and I was enjoying the anger. I was like, oh my. And one of my kids said to me, you are in a really bad state of mind. You're in a really bad state of consciousness because you're angry. And I said, oh my God, you are so wrong. I am furious, but I am enjoying my fury incredibly. And there is no need for me to take it to act. I am just enjoying being upset, being mad at you. And then they got really scared. They've never seen anything like it. But there is so much energy in anger. It's amazing to experience it. Oh my God, there is heat and you can feel your muscles. You can feel your blood. There is so much beauty in anger. Mark, you're laughing, but it's true. We're just scared because we think that we need to take it into action. And we don't. It's just thought. Like I judge myself horribly, but there is nothing I need to do about it. I don't need to fix myself so that will stop. It won't. It's not about fixing. It's about recognizing the nature of the judgment and allowing it, letting it be. Letting it be is letting it go.
There's a rhythm to that too. There's a beautiful rhythm around that.
You know the metaphor about the sky and the birds flying through, one thought, another thought, one experience, another experience. When we judge a thought or an experience as bad or undesirable, something that needs to be rejected, it's as if we were taking one of those birds in our hands and we were trying to make it pretty by applying makeup to it and painting the feathers and dressing it up with strange little tutu dresses. And the nature of the bird is to fly away. So for as long as I hold it, it will be pecking me and it will be biting me and asking me to let it go, So the more I try to transform an experience, to change an experience, the nightmare to the blissful dream, the more I get to interact with the nightmare, with a bad, ugly bird that is flying through the beautiful sky that I am, and it is not worthy of the sky. No, you just let the bird go. That's the nature of the bird. It doesn't like blue tutus. It doesn't like makeup. It just wants to fly away. Stop being afraid of the birds. Alfred Hitchcock made it really difficult, but I swear it's possible, people. It is. They're just birds. Let them through. Let them be. Allow them. You are a sky. That's where birds fly. They can't fly anywhere else. Let them be. They can't hurt you. You see the inspiration there? The experience of inspiration. It's so beautiful. James, you want to unmute yourself?
In a period after Sid had his experience, he was having dreams at night, obviously, and he had a recurring dream. He said, I can't wait to go to sleep at night and have this dream." And it was a dream of falling off a cliff, and instead of being terrified and having a nightmare occur, he embraced the fall and dived into it. And immediately he entered a state of bliss. And so he couldn't wait to go to bed again at night and have that dream again, and to that, shed the terror and enter the beautiful feelings. I can't interpret that. I can only repeat it to everyone.
Oh, that's a beautiful story, James. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, James. That was lovely.
You see, again, accepting negative experience is a positive experience. Yeah. There's a beautiful book by Philippe Petit called On the High Wire. He was a high wire walker. And it's an amazing metaphor for life. And it's the the chapters are named, like the first one is standing, and the second one is the first step, and then another one is running, and another one is falling. And he explores the nature of falling in such a beautiful way, in such an accepting way, a little bit like what you're sharing, James, embracing the fall so that you can actually have the experience of falling. So you can turn the experience of falling into something valuable by experiencing it. Only. That's all that's needed. There's nothing else. Collaboration with the inevitable. I loved that, James. Thank you so much. I will keep that story with me forever. I can't wait to dream that I fall now. I bet a couple of you out there are really wanting to get upset and mad, aren't you?
I like that you brought that up for a couple reasons. One of them is that oftentimes people that have approached me or talked to me about the principles felt it needed to be that, they needed to, or they needed to fall into a place, or they needed to be still, or they needed to get, and so the experiences of life, all the emotions, all of them are as rich as another. And I'm really glad you spoke to that, because there is a time for stillness. There is a time for getting still and really deeply listening. And then there's that time, like you said, for inspiration, where you just feel all of your wisdom moving you to wherever that's going. And not fearing where it's going to go.
Yeah, it's true, Kelly. A lot of people in the community of the three principles, especially at the beginning of their journey, they really get up in their heads about, it's about a feeling. You have to find a feeling. Find the feeling. Come on, get you. If you're not feeling it, you're not getting it. Right?
Yeah. It's like, get deep. Get deep and still. Get deep and still.
I know. And again, it's not a feeling that we can get ourselves to.
Yeah.
It's the feeling of not of stopping. It's the feeling of surrendering. It's the feeling, like we're talking about experience, right? So if you have a blank page, you can draw butterflies and bees and flowers on it, or you can draw thunderstorms and horseshit. It doesn't matter. The blank page is still a blank page. We are looking for the feeling of the blank page, not of the butterflies and the bees and the flowers. Yeah. So again, we're looking for the dreamer, not for a specific dream. We are looking for the feeling of surrendering. We are looking for the feeling of acceptance and allowance and flow with what is. Like Sandra was saying, it's about what is. And taking all that is in. And then letting go of what isn't.
That's why it took me so to actually experience that, in the early days. I don't know how many here are new, absolutely new, but it doesn't matter how you're coming. It doesn't matter what you're coming with. We're just so glad that you're here. And whatever you get, you get.
I mean, how exciting is that?
I know. And then if you get something juicy, you might come back, or you might not. Or you might take it and fly with it. Amy, please come on. Join us. Hiya.
Hi.
Great to see you.
Thank you, Kelly, for having Marina. I saw you in a group that Thomas did a few months ago, and I just thought it wasn't a mistake that I'm on holidays today and can actually come. And then you spoke to exactly how I'm feeling today. I just had a really hard day with my little guys yesterday, and I was really judging myself. And when you said that you judge yourself a lot, it just really made me feel better. And I just, I needed to be here today, and I'm just grateful, and I feel like I'm normal again.
Wonderful, Amy. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for judging yourself so that we could identify.
Yeah, exactly.
And have the experience of identifying. This is beautiful. You see?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing the humanness that you had, because it's real. We all have it. Judgment.
And and I had rage. So
Woohoo! Woohoo! Yay to rage.
that's all I really needed to say, but I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
You
Amy, really.
for coming.
Thank you. James opened his microphone again, and I don't know if he wants to speak. Do you want to speak?
Go ahead, James, please. Yeah.
Just another gem from Sid Banks. In response to a question about how to grow in consciousness, find somebody you trust and listen to them. Of course, he was referring to listening for a feeling. He never said, listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
He said, find somebody you trust and listen to them.
That's beautiful, James.
So simple.
Yeah, I you know, that comes to me all the time. That's one of my regular reminders that are built into me now.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, James.
You're welcome.
Thank
Again, thank you for sharing with such an amazingly beautiful, peaceful, calm feeling.
you. Yeah. James is a first gen. Thomas, we have the pleasure of having you in the room next week, so please come on and give everybody a little preamble of what they're going to experience. No, just kidding. No pressure. Come on out.
Well, I'm glad there's no pressure, Kelly, because how could I possibly follow what just happened? You know, this week, Marina, I went away with my wife for the first time in a long time. We went to the north of Ireland and we stayed in a hotel. It was fantastic. And I had an espresso martini. You know that drink? I was sitting at the bar and I had the espresso martini, and an overwhelming feeling of relief and calm and just a big exhale of joy came over me. And it's been with me a few days after that. But within about 10 or 15 seconds of coming into the room here today, that same espresso martini feeling came back to me. And I associate that with you. So I just wanted to mention it. And also, when we spoke a few months ago, I made a bowl of popcorn when we were having our conversation. And I realized that just before I came onto the call today, that Kelly kindly arranged with all these lovely people, I made a big bowl of popcorn. So I think wisdom makes me associate Marina Galan with popcorn. And I think that is the key message I wanted to get across here today. So thank you so much, Kelly. And thank you, Marina. It's always a pleasure to be in your company.
Ah, thank you, Thomas. It's so good to see you, man. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I prefer to be identified with popcorn or with espresso martini, but it seems like popcorn would be a safer bet, a healthier bet.
What about all the flavors? You know, the full flavor. She's the full flavor.
Absolutely. Yeah. But again, do not blame the martini and do not blame me. This is just you.
Yeah.
It's not coming from me. Can't.
I'm just reading through the chat just to make sure. Of course, there's so much love coming from the chat, Marina. The conversations, everybody, will be posted at Kind Mind Community on Facebook, and they'll be up within the day. So you can, somebody wants to rewatch it. Thank you, CK, for that message. And yeah, just a lot of love.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Kelly, for making love possible,
Oh,
for setting the table for love.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always a joy.
I have to say, it comes from everybody. It's not a one-way deal here. It's a collaborative as we complete the circle of understanding. It's the collaborative of the labor of love that everybody here brings just by coming. And today, you by coming and sharing your love and your understanding. It was a great conversation, and I'll be definitely listening again. I want to say, did anybody have anything that they'd like to say before we close the room for Marina? We'll all unmute in a minute and we'll say goodbye. Before we do that, I was not kidding. Thomas, my dear friend Thomas Leamy is coming next week. Crunched between, it's like an Oreo cookie between Marina and Hannah Studley. He's just the white in the middle there, the white Irish guy in the middle. And I look forward to hearing from him, and it'll be yet another room similar to this as you guys, all the people that come and participate, create that experience. And for today, please unmute yourself and send some love to Marina's way. And it's been just amazing having you all here.
Thank you, Marina.
Thank you,
Wonderful.
Annette. Wonderful to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marina.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Marina.
Marina.
Thank you,
Mark.
Marina and Kelly.
Nice to meet
Thank
you.
you both.
Thank you,
Thank you
Marina.
all.
Thank you, Kelly.
Mark,
Bye.
give Karen a hug for me.
I
Thank
will.
you, Georgia.
Marina.
I love you guys.
Good
Love
to
you.
see you, Tom, Barbara,
Wow.
Celia,
Wow.
Annette, Pernell, Amy.
Cesar, qué lindo.
Great to see you, Sren, Adina, Kaja, Pia. Love to see you. Barbara, great to have you in the room.
Thank you, Kelly.
Welcome, Georgia, and good to have you.
Good to see
William,
you again, Georgia. Wow.
good to see you.
So much love, William. Mika. I love you guys.
Andrew, thanks for coming back.
Anja, thank you.
Soren, good to see you. Mika, lovely to have you. Lucia, Christina. It's just great. James, we love having you in the room. Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you,
Much
James. You've touched me. You've touched my heart so beautifully. Thank you. All right.
Katie, Michael.
Well, I'll see you
Goodbye,
around.
everybody.
Take care.
Until next time.
Yeah.